Car chases are dangerous and unpredictable. Viewer discretion advised.
Breaking news right now, and a police pursuit in Chino Hills. Sky 9 overhead. Let's see if we can, it's the truck right there in the middle of your screen. It looks like some kind of construction vehicle or perhaps a work vehicle, but you can see the police department right behind them, trailing them on the freeway. I believe this is the eastbound 60 freeway. We got word that the pursuit started in Whittier, went for a time on surface streets. You can see now moved onto the freeway. First, the northbound 57. Now onto the eastbound 60, again moving through the Whittier area, through Diamond Bar, and now into Chino Hills, weaving in and out of that HOV lane right there. And you can see the police really not giving him much room, just pulling up right behind that truck. So in the HOV lane right now, we've got a pretty good flow of traffic out there on the freeway, and it looks like they're slowing down just a little bit. Don't have much information right now about the driver of this truck, but the call came in, the pursuit started in Whittier, and now you can see the pursuit is on. Again, in the HOV lane on the eastbound 60 in Diamond Bar, and it looks like police right there behind it, but it kind of looks to me, Josh, like they're slowing down just a little bit.
Yeah, and you know what? Now that it's a work vehicle that's being pursued right now, that adds a whole host of problems, because you can't do your normal pit maneuver kind of thing with this because it's a heavier vehicle. You're on a freeway, so that's not going to be an option at this point. Right now, it doesn't look like that is a CHP cruiser chasing this suspect right now. Could be a sheriff's deputy, but definitely you do see the traffic starting to pick up a little bit there on the eastbound 60.
And when you talk about that it's a work vehicle, it makes it easier to stop it. It also makes it more dangerous. If this vehicle collides with another vehicle, there's a good possibility there's going to be some serious injuries. It's a heavy truck. It looks like the back of the truck is empty, but again, it's a very heavy vehicle. So just past Ramon Avenue,
yeah.
in Ramona Avenue. So now we have moved into the Chino area, going right back and forth between the HOV lane and other lanes of traffic right there, and getting pretty close to that center divider wall.
You know, and when they're on the freeway like this right now, everybody's windows are up, so they don't really see or hear this pursuit coming down the road. Some of the things that happen at night is, you know, there's a helicopter overhead and you can see that night sun. You see the flashing lights. But when you're in your car, it's a hot day, you've got the air conditioning on, you might be listening to some music, and it's very difficult to hear this kind of thing coming up behind you. And with this heavy vehicle, really does pose a big threat to the driving public out there.
So we will wait and see. Police taking a stand-back approach to this. They're, as Josh mentioned, probably not going to try any pit maneuvers. A spike strip is possible, but again, a very heavy vehicle. It's some kind of construction truck or work vehicle. Don't have much information right now about the driver. We know the pursuit started in Whittier just before noon today on surface streets and then took off onto the freeway, the northbound 57 at first. And now we pick it up on the eastbound 60, moving through Whittier, Diamond Bar, Chino Hills, and now into Chino.
Now, something that officers take very seriously when they are pursuing a suspect, you know, they're going to constantly evaluate the situation. They're going to constantly evaluate the threat to the public. Is it worth chasing this guy? Is it better to go into a surveillance mode where you have the helicopter just follow him? So if they continue on, they see a need for it. They see a reason for it. But there's always this continuous evaluation of the situation there.
It doesn't look like the driver is going doing anything extremely dangerous. He is going back and forth between the carpool lane and the #1 lane there, but I haven't seen him get close to any vehicles.
You do see some, it looks like a beam or a wood beam or something in the back of that. And of course, you know, if this driver takes some kind of an erratic move, makes some kind of turn, does a near miss, you know, it's quite possible that something could come out and, of course, endanger folks that way.
Again, you are watching a live coverage of a police pursuit in Chino right now. They're on the 60 freeway going eastbound. And the driver of this truck that you see right there in the middle of this screen, we know that officers are right behind this vehicle. You can't see them right now, but believe me, they are there and not losing sight. Oftentimes we will see during a pursuit like this that officers will try to get in contact with the person. So if they know who is behind the wheel, if it's a stolen vehicle, they may not know. But if they do know who owns this truck or who's driving the truck, they might try to reach out to family members, get a cell phone number or something like that, and try to talk this person down, as it were.
Certainly quite conceivable. And you can see the officers have taken that, have pulled way back.
Yeah, they're way back.
So as we just mentioned, that, you know, they go into this constant evaluation. Is it worth getting up behind this guy and making him more pressured? Or is it better to just have the helicopter, which they do have overhead right now, along with our helicopter and many other media helicopter right now? Is it better to just watch this guy, let him drive as long, I mean, because he's not doing anything necessarily erratic at this point, aside from going in and out of that HOV lane? You maybe just better off waiting him out, because, you know, police have always taken the tactic of, we have as much time as we need. You know, we can take all day with this guy as long as he's not immediately endangering the public.
Yeah, we don't know what he is wanted for, or she.
Or she, yeah. We keep saying he or she. Yeah, you're right.
We don't know if it's a woman behind the wheel, but we don't know what the suspect is wanted for, what the initial pursuit started. Was it just a traffic infraction, or was it something more serious?
Certainly conceivable that this could be a stolen vehicle, because it is a work vehicle.
Right.
Could have been sitting out at a site, and opportunity, you know, came about.
But you're right, you could see a pretty good view because our chopper is directly overhead, but the police have certainly pulled back a little bit. They're giving this driver a little bit of room, and you could see they're in the HOV lane. Again, this is the 60 eastbound freeway. The pursuit started on surface streets, now has moved on to the 60 and onto the freeways and approaching the 15. That's going to be coming up next. That's the next decision that this driver will have to know. We've seen him move from surface streets to the 57 to the 60. Will he take, or she, the 15 freeway? We'll wait and see.
And next up would be Ontario, just south of Ontario Airport, as this continues a trek off to the east right now. And we should also point out there are some gusty winds out there in the Inland Empire, and this isn't necessarily a high-profile vehicle, but it is certainly a vehicle that is susceptible to those gusts when they come about, and becomes a little bit more dangerous to drive. I mean, it happens to the smaller vehicles as much as the big vehicles as well. So just another factor out there that people are paying attention to, and you see some of those big semis, those big rigs that are driving by as well, and they're susceptible to the wind. So any kind of a day like this, it becomes an issue.
And as he approaches Ontario, big shopping area, more populated area, it looks like there's more traffic on the freeway as well. So he has to contend with that. Steady behind the wheel right now, not doing a lot of lane changes, and you can see the freeways are filling up. So we're looking at this police pursuit, live coverage right here on KCAL 9. If you're just joining us, Sky 9 is overhead. This pursuit going eastbound on the 60 freeway right now. And the driver is in that construction vehicle or work truck. It's kind of hard to tell. I'm trying to figure out what it says on the side of the vehicle there, but I can't tell.
Difficult to tell what company it is, but you know, it's those heavy-duty trucks, those diesel trucks that are made to go for long distances too. It's not like you know, depending on the level of fuel in there, this can go for a while.
It looked like he was about to change lanes there. There was a blue or a silverish car that kind of swerved out of the way. That's the closest we've seen the driver come to other vehicles.
Well, and another advantage here is, picture's kind of breaking up as you make your way off to the east there, but at night when that helicopter's over and the night sun is on the helicopter, it gives a nice, the viewers, the other drivers, an indication that something's coming up on them. So that's, and we're back on it now.
Coming up on the 15 freeway. Is that the 15 right there, I believe?
It looks like he may be transitioning to, yeah, that would be the 15 maybe there. Okay. Oh, this is tape from before. So this is from maybe him from the 57 to the 60. But what I was pointing out before was that with the helicopter overhead, while it gives other drivers a notice that something is coming, it also makes this suspect know he's being followed right now. So he may have this false sense of security at this point that the police have pulled back a little bit. Maybe he doesn't see that helicopter up behind him there, watching him right now or her right now.
And that's part of the tactic. If they want him to pull back a little bit and not drive as dangerously or as recklessly, they will pull back and see if he'll relax just a bit. But there he goes again, changing lanes. Yeah. Looks like he's making some moves.
And it does look like that might be the end of an HOV lane. Oh, no, it's still there. That's still that diamond lane there. He's getting out of that. And maybe he's going to be getting off the freeway at this point or making some kind of an assessment there.
It's interesting to see why he keeps getting out of the HOV lane, because we don't see him.
Oh, there's that sheriff's. So it is LA County sheriffs that are pursuing him right now, because that's a sheriff's chopper.
We don't see a lot of traffic in the HOV lane, so it's kind of confusing as to why he keeps kind of bopping back and forth between those two lanes. maybe he just doesn't feel secure getting right up against that wall or the shoulder there.
Yeah, and it does look like very thin traffic out that way. You know, you're headed east out of town right now. And again, coming up south of Ontario Airport, and you're right, the next big freeway we'll be coming up to would be the 15. That'll be a decision time. And then after that, the 215 as this heads out towards the east right now.
So again, you are watching live coverage of a police pursuit eastbound 60 freeway. No information on what this driver originally was wanted for, but it looks like Sheriff's Department is in pursuit. They've pulled back just a little bit, giving this driver a little more room on the freeway. We saw traffic kind of get congested there for a while, but it looks like this driver just in this construction truck or some kind of work vehicle, and he's just going straight away, really, and not doing anything particularly dangerous except for a lot of lane changes between the HOV lane.
Now, normally, this is sheriffs will be chasing or doing this pursuit right now, but normally once you're on these freeways here, the CHP generally steps in. So it's definitely possible that they could do a handoff as this stays on these freeways here. And again, that's a big part of this. This is definitely a mutual aid situation where one agency will be talking to another agency, and they're going to, and the advantage of this is you get a CHP officer that's familiar with this territory here, that's familiar with the roads, that's familiar with the turnoffs, the ramps, and so they will change out drivers even within agencies. So when CHP is pursuing a suspect, they'll switch out officers based on geography and what those officers know. So it's quite conceivable that at some point they could switch out as well. But right now it looks like an LA County Sheriff's chopper overhead right now. And we should bring in our traffic reporter,
Stephanie Simmons is here.
Yes, I was just coming back from a story and saw this going about. I thought, hey, maybe I can bring some insight as the traffic reporter here. So, okay, eastbound on the 60 at this time, 12:18. Usually lanes are completely empty. This driver's obviously driving erratically here. I heard some information on the radio that was inaccurate. They're telling people, hey, if you see police lights behind you or hear anything, pull over to the side. Do not actually do that. What you're supposed to do if you see a driver coming up on you in squad cars and things like that, you're supposed to maintain your speed in the lane you're already in, because you can cause an accident. You have no idea who's behind you, what's about to happen, so you're supposed to maintain your speed and stay in your lane. Now, as far as what's up ahead, since we're in Rubidoux right now, you've got the Riverside interchange where your Pomona Freeway, your 215 and your 91 all come together. That is a highly traveled area. It's very industrial. We're going to start to see a lot of cars, a lot more than we're actually seeing now. But again, when we're going eastbound on the 60 at a time like this, lanes are pretty empty, so he's going to be able to maintain that speed for a little while.
Yeah, it looks like, in fact, that he's picking up speed. Hard to tell because the camera there and the chopper is now zoomed in, but it certainly looks like he's picking up speed. Staying in the carpool lane for now, and you can see it is smooth sailing for this driver.
Now, what if and you may or may not know the answer to this, Stephanie, but if you're in the carpool lane, as this suspect is in the carpool lane right now, do you get out of the carpool lane, or do you stay in it and let him and officers go around you?
Maintain.
Doesn't make a difference which lane you're in.
The speed, the direction, everything you're doing. It sounds like that would be wrong.
Yeah, it sounds like it would be hard to do too.
But you have no idea. This person is going to do whatever they're going to do, and you're more likely to not get in an accident than you are to get in one if you just keep on going your course.
It's interesting because we haven't seen any other cars in the carpool lane.
Everybody's at work right now. That's why, Sandy, yeah.
Yeah, he's been bopping in and out of the carpool lane, but we haven't seen him swerving around anyone else. Looks like that black car got kind of close to the back bumper there.
And oftentimes they say when we have pursuits like that, that the driver will go back to an area that he or she knows.
Sure.
So it'll be interesting to see what this person ends up doing.
Well, we know it started in Whittier. We don't know if this vehicle is stolen or not. It looks like a construction vehicle, some kind of work truck. They went through the Darman Bar area into Chino Hills, into Ontario, and now into Rubidoux. Riverside is up next. We see the helicopters overhead. This guy is not going very fast, and it doesn't look like he's going to get away. So it's hard to imagine what he or she is thinking. But you see the pursuit just continuing there.
And they're in what's called tracking mode. So they're tracking him right now. That means that the officers aren't necessarily up on his tail, but the chopper is overhead, monitoring his movements, monitoring traffic, and then, of course, giving information to the officers ahead and behind him. You know, and oftentimes, and correct me if I'm wrong on this, Stephanie, they will thin out the freeway too. They'll do traffic breaks, and so that it does thin the traffic along the way.
Okay, and we're hearing that he's a couple miles away from the 215. If he opts for the 215, I'm looking at our traffic system. He's going to be good to go with the tip-top speed there, but we looks like we have a little bit of traffic on the 91, which he's also approaching. So it'll be interesting to see which direction he goes.
And we'll sit back and watch what happens next, because only the person behind the wheel knows what they're thinking, and probably all they're thinking is, how do I get away from these officers who are right behind me, the sheriff's deputies. And Josh, you mentioned that they're in tracking mode. They're also doing a lot of information gathering.
Absolutely.
So they have cameras on the helicopters that can zoom in and see what this person is doing, see if they're on their cell phone, see if they have any weapons in the cab of that truck. Also trying to make contact with family members if they know who is driving this vehicle, to see what this person might be thinking. Are they suicidal? Are they homicidal? Is it someone who is just committed a small traffic infraction and is just trying to get away?
Well, and Sandra, they have some information that you wouldn't normally have if this were just an unmarked vehicle, you know, an average car driving down the road. They've got the company that this particular truck belongs to, so they can at least say, hey, is this somebody you know, or was this truck stolen? They do have that particular piece of information. They've already, I'm sure, contacted that individual or that employer, so they have something to work with at least.
And Stephanie, we were talking about how it's so much more dangerous when you're talking about a pursuit with a heavy vehicle like this.
Oh, absolutely. I would just talk about the traffic, and they're not going to be able to go fast like a Ferrari would go, so the police have that working on their side, so definitely a lot easier to track. These pursuits are always interesting. You never know what this person is thinking. You never know where they're going to go, but again, we're just a couple of miles away from that Riverside interchange, so we've got a couple of options for this driver to go north or south, or he can continue the course and stay on that 60. And as I suspected, I told you in that Riverside interchange, we're going to hit some traffic. Look right now.
It looks like he has swerved out of the carpool lane again and is kind of weaving back and forth. And I don't understand that, because it doesn't look like there's anybody in that carpool lane unless he is trying to make his decision about whether he gets off the freeway or not. Now,
we should point out that CHP is behind. That is a CHP cruiser that is behind this suspect now. So as we had mentioned before, that this is an interagency effort. Now it appears that sheriff's deputies have now handed this off to the CHP, and you can see it just made a pretty, and you see how it becomes erratic when a cruiser now is behind him. So for quite a while they were in a tracking mode. They were watching him.
He is going to be stopped in traffic going. Is that the shoulder?
It looks like that is the shoulder. Yeah.
It might be on the shoulder of the road.
And he's coming around
those
pretty
vehicles,
quick.
But as Stephanie pointed out, a lot more traffic in this area, and it seems like the pursuit is getting just a bit more dangerous here. Now on the northbound 215 freeway.
Okay, so we'll be heading into Grand Terrace at this point, just a few miles away from that, and there's a long-term construction zone on the northbound 215, so it will be interesting to see if we hit any of that activity.
Yeah, getting a bit more erratic, getting close to some of the vehicles on the freeway, and it makes it just that much more dangerous. Coming up on another vehicle, coming right behind that. And is going to have to squeeze between those two vehicles.
And just as Stephanie had just mentioned, it's not a Ferrari. This is a very difficult vehicle to manage and weave through these cars. What you'll notice is there's going to be an officer that is directly behind this suspect. That'll be the pursuing officer, and then there's a supervisor that will be in trail behind that. And often the role of that pursuit officer is just to stay on top of it, and then you have officers behind that will call out the traffic and call out the roads and keep everybody aware of what's going on.
All right, we're going to go to the telephone right now. We have CHP Officer Chavez Monks on the phone with us. Good afternoon. Yeah. Officer, can you hear us?
Yes, ma'am.
Understand that you are now taking control of this pursuit, is that correct?
Right now we're working with the agency that initially tried to stop the vehicle, and we are going to be getting in position. Yes, ma'am.
And can you tell us what the person is wanted for?
Right now it's still under investigation. We're just still getting it pieces from Whittier PD.
We had heard initially that it was a grand theft charge. Can you confirm that?
I cannot confirm that at this time, no.
Okay, we're watching the truck right now. He's off the freeway, and officers right behind him. Looks like he's straddling that center line. And we talked about how this vehicle is a heavy vehicle back on surface streets, and that makes the situation even that much more dangerous, officer.
Absolutely. Right now, the vehicle is on county roads. If residents are watching this, we urge people to stay out of the streets and don't get involved.
And oftentimes we will see that people come out to watch, and we've seen some really close calls with pedestrians, and that's certainly not what we want. Have your officers, or do you know if Whittier police have been in contact with the person?
No, I do not know at that time. I know we do have one unit that is in the pursuit, as you can see right directly behind the truck.
And when we talk about a truck of this size, what kind of special precautions do you have to take? Can you do pit maneuvers? Can you do spike strips?
We have all kinds of different options that we can take into account. The first thing that we're going to do is we're always going to take the public safety in mind when we go and stop a vehicle.
Any reason to believe that this person is armed? It looks like they're perhaps gesturing out the window.
You know, we're still gathering the information from the initial agency that tried to stop the vehicle.
Okay, CHP Officer Chavez Miggs, thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. We're carrying this live coverage of this pursuit in the Rubidoux area, through many areas. Actually, it started in Whittier, through Diamond Bar, Chino Hills, into Chino, Ontario, Rubidoux, and now going the wrong way on the freeway. Just an incredibly dangerous situation. And
absolutely.
Looks like he's getting over to the shoulder at least, but what a scary situation.
This could not be more dangerous right now.
Just terrifying for these people who are in those cars, wondering what in the world is going on. If you see this construction vehicle coming at you, and you can see the traffic start to slow down.
And you've got big rigs going in that direction as well, and they can't brake as fast.
So now he's stopped, and he's realized that there's no, and look, it looks like he's getting out, and he's going to climb over that
Try to climb that fence and go over the freeway, and that makes it and he's getting back in. Apparently, he has changed his mind. The door shuts, and we'll see if he pulls away. Again, going southbound and northbound, you see the CHP officer pull up beside him on the opposite side of the freeway, anticipating that he was going to jump out and try to jump that fence. But boy, what a dangerous situation.
And there aren't a whole lot of options for CHP officers. The most they can do right now is run that brake. And
a U-turn on the freeway. And you can imagine these cars going 60, 70, 80 miles an hour, and to see this, but it looks like, he made it.
It looks like actually CHP may have run a brake
in traffic
in an effort to make that happen. So that's a way that they're trying to make sure that this doesn't cause.
But he still has cars up ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
And we heard the CHP officer that we just talked to say that they had a number of tactics, and it looks like they just deployed one of them, and that was forcing that suspect to turn around so that they don't jeopardize the lives of innocent motorists any more than they have to.
You know, at the end of the day, our police agencies have done such a good job of evaluating what is the safest procedure here, and if it means letting the suspect get some space, then they'll do that. And here we go back on this hairpin turn.
Yep.
And again, very difficult. You can see how difficult it is to make that turn.
Changing his mind
and getting back on to looks like the freeway again. Yeah.
Boy, it's hard to follow him. And when you see him make these turns, it doesn't look like he's going very fast, but that piece of lumber or whatever that is in the back of the bed that you pointed out, Josh, you could see it kind of rolling around
back there.
And now we're on the streets again, and with this this suspect driving so erratically.
Looks like
now
somebody on the side of the street right
wrong
there.
Way again. Yeah, opposite direction there. You have people out walking, riding their bikes, and on the wrong side of the street again, and not seeing this coming.
It just seems like in the past few minutes, this is the drivers just become more desperate, more erratic, and of course that makes everything a lot more dangerous.
And again, you know, for a while they were just watching the suspect. The minute that an officer comes in behind, it starts looking like
through that stop sign, didn't even hesitate.
He gets more erratic and more dangerous.
And by now, people are really starting to figure out what's going on around him, and you can see cars pulling over to the side there too. And he's getting back on the freeway.
Getting back on the freeway, the northbound 15, this pursuit has been going on for 215 freeway. Sorry about that. The pursuit's been going on for just over 30 minutes now. CHP has taken over the pursuit. Originally started by Whittier police. They initiated the pursuit because of a grand theft. We don't know if the grand theft is of this vehicle, but it looks to be a construction vehicle belonging to a company.
and it looks like California Highway Patrol has taken over the pursuit for this. So it was an interagency effort. You had several agencies working to try and stop this individual, and he is just going to keep going as fast as he can and as erratic as he can, as we've seen right now.
I'm a little bit surprised by the turn and the way this pursuit is going, because initially he was driving, it looked like he was going just about the speed limit, kind of just changing out of the carpool lane and not doing anything erratic. But now, boy, it's just gotten so much more.
He's getting frantic.
He's getting desperate. He probably is realizing that he's not going to get away.
Okay, coming up on the 10 freeway we're just hearing. So this is heading towards Colton now.
And one of the things the officers train on is that dynamic when there is a pursuit, because it gets very amped up. And it's very important that the officers stay calm during this situation as well, because here now you've had a suspect drive the wrong way on a freeway, on a major freeway here in Los Angeles, in the Los Angeles area, and they tend to get spiked up as well. So they are constantly evaluating their own emotional response to this as well. And you have this this suspect who is driving erratic because he's being chased right now. So he's amped up. So everybody's emotions are in high gear.
It looks like he's exiting again.
And coming up very close behind that car, which has no place to go.
And I told you there was construction all over the place.
Yeah,
you can see all of those cones and everything there.
Back onto the shoulder, and that crazy turn again. And this is where we saw him go right through a stop sign. Looks like he went through a light there. And the CHP getting closer, getting up right behind him and changing onto the opposite lane.
Making a left-hand turn now. Is he going back on the freeway? He's
Onto
going
an
over the overpass there.
Now, the CHP officers had mentioned that they have several possibilities. It looks like he's coming in there. I can't imagine. I would think it'd be very difficult. He is going to try a pit on this.
There it is.
Look at it, right there. But, you know, you have a Crown Victoria, it looks like.
Yeah, going
versus,
up against a construction vehicle.
Looks like some Ford F-Type series truck.
He does not want to give up.
So a little tap from the CHP,
good effort,
and now he's headed southbound on the 215 freeway again, and picking up speed. And it looks like, Stephanie, a little bit less traffic in this area.
There is less traffic, but it looks like he doesn't know where he is or where he's going. He's driving so erratically. So if he's going southbound on the 215, we're heading back into the Grand Terrace area.
And I can't tell. It looks like, is that a motor officer? Those Crown Victorias that are a little more common.
It would certainly be easier, I would think, to keep up with him on a motorbike.
Absolutely. And I mean, maybe they're trying to contact him in some way and get some information to him. Although I would think it'd be, in this situation, with that heavy vehicle and with all the heavy traffic out there, it would be very dangerous for those motor officers.
And I think we were saying he or she, but it clearly looked like when the person got out of the vehicle that it was a man, so we can now say he. Just a few minutes ago, we saw sort of crazy behavior, stopped the vehicle after going the wrong way on the freeway, parked on the shoulder, looked like he was going to try to get over the fence, and thought, maybe this isn't such a good idea, before he got back in the truck and took off again. Wild U-turn on the freeway after heading in the wrong direction. And now you could see him coming up on some more traffic, Steph.
Right, and you're going to see a lot more big rigs as we continue to head south on the 215. And the reason why I said this, I mentioned this before, we're heading into an industrial area, into that Riverside interchange where your 60, your 215, and your 91 all come together. And those lanes start going down and down. You're going to start to get a lot of crowding. And even though there aren't a lot of cars on the freeway at this time, you're still going to hit a little bit of traffic because of those elements alone.
And we see him, he's kind of boxed in right here. He's got vehicles in front of him, vehicles in both lanes beside him. And it appears that these drivers don't know what is going on. It's hard to imagine that you just see this truck coming up very fast. At least he's going in the right direction now. We're going to go live to the telephone right now. Our Inland Empire reporter Tom Waite is joining us. Tom, any new information about this pursuit?
Well, hi, Sandra. We just saw it pass us. We're kind of in the area. We were on another story, and, of course, we picked up on this, and we just saw the guy drive by us pretty quickly, and, of course, all of the pursuit operation as well. The 215, as you guys know and as you've been talking about, is a very, very important corridor that connects Riverside and San Bernardino counties. And also, particularly interesting right now, there's a lot of construction on the 215 going on right now. So, and as you probably can see from these pictures, there's a lot of traffic in this area. So It is a very difficult area to navigate when you're not trying to escape police. There's a lot going on here, so that makes it even more dangerous. And as you've been reporting, we have...
Oh, stop.
Stop.
Tom, sorry to interrupt you, but it looked like he was going to jump out of the vehicle while it was
While it's still rolling,
on
yeah.
the southbound 215.
He's got the door. He's
The
still
door
opening
is
that door.
open.
Wow.
The door is open, or at least partially open, and he's still moving along in that lane right by the shoulder and by the center divider, now changing lanes erratically, going across 2-3 different lanes. And again, we've amped up the severity of this and
Well,
the danger
you can
level.
see there was a motorcycle officer right behind him before. I don't know if he's still there.
He's
No,
still
he's
with him.
God.
And yeah.
They've got what?
Okay, he's exited the freeway, squeezing
Oh,
behind.
and there's an accident here. I don't know if this is related, but there is an accident right off of the 215 in the area of the pursuit. I don't know if that's connected with this, but I'm looking at this from the ground right now. There's CHP on the scene here. I don't know if this is one of the areas where he'd come off the freeway, I believe, and then gotten back on. I don't know if this accident is related to that.
All right, Tom,
CHP
thanks for the information. We're going to free
yes.
you up to go and cover this. Hopefully it will come to an end soon. We see a police vehicle right there going to make a U-turn and get behind this truck.
What you'll notice are officers flooding the area right now because they have to think ahead of the suspect. They've got to find a way to make sure that nobody else gets in the way of this. So you saw that one officer by the off-ramp waiting there. And that's why that helicopter is such a very important tool, because they're calling ahead to any officers, any other local police officers in the area that are not necessarily CHP officers. And it actually looks like that officer that's behind the suspect right now may not even be CHP. I can't tell if that's a CHP cruiser. It looks like it might be a local PD cruiser.
It's hard to believe that this guy is not giving off signals that he wants to get away at all costs. We saw him consider jumping over the center divider, was going to run across the lanes of traffic. He went the opposite way on the freeway. And thinking about, just a moment ago, thinking about jumping out of the vehicle while it was still moving.
Yeah, it looks like he might be trying to find a way to end this and at least make a foot bail and run.
And not give up. Certainly doesn't seem that he's just going to pull over, stop, and give up.
What you're looking at on the right side there is when he was on, this was the 215, I believe, and was going the wrong way. When he was getting on that off-ramp and going the wrong way, running right into that traffic there, and then makes a daring U-turn to get going back in the other direction, and in between tries to get out of the vehicle. So fairly erratic. Here's that U-turn.
And there's the U-turn.
Yeah. So complete stopping the traffic on the freeway, makes that U-turn and continues that pursuit.
Left side of your screen, the live pictures right now. You see the pursuing vehicle just behind this truck. Again, this pursuit started just before noon today. The latest information we have is that the driver was wanted for grand theft. We don't know if it's grand theft of this vehicle or not, but we do believe that this vehicle belongs to a company. There's some sort of writing on the doors of the vehicle.
And it does look like that could be either a sheriff's deputy behind there or local PD. But again, they keep handing it off. The officers hand it off to each other when you have this interagency effort.
And we're back on the freeway.
Stephanie, you're right. I think that he doesn't know where he's going.
No, he's erratic. When he's on surface streets like that, the only good thing we can say about an area like this is that there's not giant shopping centers with lots of people walking about. So everybody's pretty much at work at this point in those industrial areas. So you didn't see a lot of people walking around, and that is good for safety reasons.
Picking up speeds on the freeway there, and you could see, as Stephanie pointed out, the traffic is a little bit more congested through this area. It's got a vehicle directly in front of him and a pursuing officer directly behind.
And what Stephanie had mentioned, that you've got construction, so it narrows, and even if it's necessary, here he goes, cutting over 3-4 lanes of traffic, and it looks like that is an off ramp that he's going to get on right there. And there's the gore point.
Yep.
So exiting the 215.
And each time looking for some kind of opportunity to get out of this. And we've seen him get off and get right back on. Now we're going to hit some city streets here again.
Not mindful of any of the other cars around him.
Right.
Doesn't care.
You saw that vehicle pull in front of him, had no idea that a pursuit was coming.
And
Slowing down a little bit here. We'll see what happens. Looks like he's going to make a turn.
And head right back. You see that passing that dump truck there.
All right, we did see a pit maneuver a few minutes
a
ago, and
valiant
it
effort.
attempted one.
I
but,
would think that the most logical choice here would be some kind of a spike strip, because it would appear that it would be very difficult to pit that with one of those smaller vehicles, pit such a heavy vehicle there. Also, quite dangerous too.
Do you think they're not doing it because they don't know where he's going?
Yeah, I mean,
because he's going surface street versus freeway.
Surface street, freeway,
yes.
and you've got to keep the public in mind. So you can get that spike strip out, and they can get it in and out pretty quickly,
Right.
but you do have the public to keep in mind here. But I would think that they're looking for opportunities to deploy those spike strips. And again, I think that a pit maneuver is probably lower down the priority, even though the one CHP officer did attempt to make that move.
Yeah, and when they do a pit maneuver, as you said, the security of other motorists is the #1 priority, the security of the officer as well as the driver who's trying to get away, so they're not going to do it in an area where there are a lot of vehicles around.
And he started in Whittier. We've gone through several different cities, so the idea of gas is coming into play as well. We don't know if he started with a full tank, do we?
No idea what the level of that tank is, but it is a diesel engine on that vehicle. So it's a heavy-duty vehicle made to drive for a while. That engine's made to run for a while. So, you know, if he was on a full tank, then he's got some time.
Okay.
All right, so CHP now handing off to Riverside Police Department. They are now in pursuit. The driver's kind of been all over the place. Surface streets, the freeway, starting off on the northbound 57 to the eastbound 60 onto the 15, the 215. And this suspect is wanted for grand theft. We don't have any other information, except we did see the driver jump out of the vehicle at one point. We could tell that it was a man. It looked like he was going to consider jumping over the center divider fence and making a run for it across the freeway. Thought about it, got back in his truck, closed the door, and took off again.
We really haven't seen much traffic, as I told you earlier, when he was going east on the 60. Those lanes pretty vacant at a time like this. It's 12:42. You're not going to see a lot of traffic, but depending on where he's going now, in Riverside, we will see some traffic no matter which side of the freeway he chooses. Right now, it looks like it's getting a little bit tighter as far as traffic conditions than we saw earlier when he was on the Pomona Freeway.
Well, you're talking about three lanes of flowing traffic as opposed to 4 or 5 that he'd been on before. So any kind of bottleneck in any way is going to slow everything down. And then, of course, he gets more erratic and tries to hit those. And you see he goes right over a couple of construction cones there. And then, of course, you have to consider that there are workers out there right now, right? You know, there are workers who are trying to do their jobs, and all of a sudden, this comes up on them. And I believe he's in one of these lanes that was a construction lane, because he just went over a bunch of construction cones just about 30 seconds ago.
I see 4 police vehicles behind him. Are you counting that with me?
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. It looks like, and there could be many more behind that, certainly. And again, as I mentioned before, that they saturate the area between Riverside PD, and he's going back into lanes again, and sheriff's deputies and CHP as well. Everybody in on this right now.
Just getting some new information from Whittier Police. Again, they were the initiating agency in this pursuit, the pursuit starting in Whittier. They're now telling us that the suspect is wanted for grand theft, but not grand theft of this vehicle. Apparently took some construction supplies from a business in Santa Fe Springs, and that is what this driver is wanted for. Also interesting, they recovered a gun that was thrown out the window. So this person initially had a weapon. We don't know if he has any more weapons, but they have recovered at least one gun that was thrown out the window of this vehicle.
During this pursuit.
That's what we believe. Again, this is information just coming in right now from Whittier PD.
So now they know that he has access to weapons that may not necessarily be the only weapon that he had in the vehicle. So that may be one of the reasons we saw the officers in a tracking mode, not necessarily behind him right away. And maybe when they realized that there was a weapon involved in this, they went on and continued a little bit close up on this pursuit. Amps
up the danger, too, and the way that they approach this suspect.
And it looks like now we're in San Bernardino. As the pursuit continues here this afternoon, very erratic driving. Things have settled down a little bit, although he has been going off into that shoulder several times, running over a couple of construction cones. It has been very difficult. Now Riverside PD and CHP both pursuing the suspect right now through San Bernardino now. So you would assume that San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies would get in on this, and CHP as well.
All right, Stephanie, Josh, we're going to go back to the telephone right now. CHP Officer Chavez Monks joining us again. Sir, thanks for being back with us. We do appreciate your insight. Can you tell us about that U-turn on the freeway that happened just a little while ago?
Yeah, that was actually a very dangerous situation for everybody that was involved, especially the motoring public. We acted quickly, went ahead and ran a brake to stop traffic. That way the person that's fleeing from us felt somewhat safe that he could turn around and create a little bit of space from everybody else out there.
When we talk about a driver going the wrong way on the freeway, we don't see it happen often in pursuits. Obviously, this guy's willing to take some risk just to get away.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, the more he flees and the more lives that he puts in danger, it's just going to make it worse for him in the end. More charges will be brought against him.
And can you tell us about the motor officer that was pursuing?
No, I don't have any info on that one.
Is it normal to have a motor officer go in on this pursuit? Normally, we just see those Crown Vics behind a suspect like this.
Yeah, absolutely. All motor officers have the capability to pursue. That particular unit, maybe he was just the closer, or for whatever reason took over briefly.
And it looked like there was an attempted pit maneuver.
I think that was done out of the safety for the public. It looked like he was trying to go wrong way, and they prevented him from doing that.
Is it safe to say that spike strip probably is one of the best methods to stop this guy?
That would be definitely at the top of our list. We do have several different tactical options that we can use when we stop bigger vehicles.
Now, when you deploy a spike strip, it helps to know which direction the driver is going. And this guy's kind of been going all over the place. We've seen him on the shoulder, getting on and off the freeway, surface streets. And
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a great working relationship with all the allied agencies right now. And as he gets on the freeway, off the freeway, we're coordinating with them. We're updating information. We're sharing information among agencies to make sure that we keep the public safe.
when we talked to you a few minutes ago, you didn't have much information about the suspect. Do you have any update? We had a report from Whittier PD that a gun was thrown out of the vehicle.
You know, I don't want to comment on any investigation or information that another agency has provided.
All right, that is CHP Officer Travis Monks joining us on the phone this afternoon. Officer, thanks. We'll keep in touch with you and continue to gather information. Live pictures right now of this pursuit that's been going on, I would imagine, for almost an hour. It's a construction vehicle. The driver is wanted for grand theft, suspected of stealing construction supplies in Santa Fe Springs. That's according to Whittier PD. A gun has been recovered. Apparently, the driver threw it out of the window. We believe there's only one person in that vehicle, a man who we saw get out of the vehicle at one point and tried to think about at least jumping the fence and going over the center divider of the freeway and onto the oncoming lanes, but did not do that. Got back in the vehicle, and the pursuit continues.
And we should highlight that the grand theft is the construction equipment, not the vehicle. Which
could help with the investigation.
Absolutely.
If they know if this is an employee of this particular company with the name painted on the side of the truck.
And on the right screen there, that is where he was facing the wrong direction on the freeway, tried to get out, saw that big chain link fence, could not get over it, and then got back in the vehicle, continuing the wrong way on the freeway. And we just heard from CHP officers that they actually ran that traffic brake so that he could safely make that U-turn so that the public wasn't in any more danger. And of course, that is the absolute paramount. You know, you look at the balance test is what they call it for officers when they're talking about a pursuit and when they pursue a suspect. And number one on the list, public safety. They think about the nature of the offense. What has this guy done, and what is the potential for him to do more harm? They talk about officer safety, which is right up at the top of the list as well, because making sure everybody goes home at the end of the day. And then what this vehicle can do and what kind of damage this vehicle can do. And they've been handing this pursuit off between deputies and local PD and CHP officers because they've been communicating with each other, and he continues to go on freeways and on city streets back and forth, which makes it a very erratic day for officers.
Stephanie, it looks like not much traffic in this area in San Bernardino right now.
Right, northbound 215. I am checking our traffic flow right now. he has the freeway all to himself. We're going to be approaching the Foothill Freeway, the 210, shortly. If this were a different time of day, we'd be talking about something a lot more serious, but those lanes are going to stay pretty empty ahead of him depending on where he goes. And if he chooses the 210, as I'm looking at live traffic patterns and those sensors that are on the freeway, it's showing me green conditions.
Yeah,
so
green all
it's
the way,
all
huh?
green, no matter which freeway he ends up choosing. If he stays on the 215, he's got open road ahead of him.
And that certainly makes things a lot safer for the
public, yes.
for the public and also for the pursuing officers.
Mm-hmm.
What they may be doing behind the chase here is slowing the traffic down, trying to thin out the traffic a bit so that they can eventually put out that spike strip. What you'll see at some point is a car, a cruiser on the side of the road. The officer will be almost hidden in front of the car
And then
sort of
throws
pop
it out,
so that the suspect is surprised by that as well. And it's kind of difficult with him in the middle of the freeway like that. It's usually easier when they're either to the left or all the way to the right in the 1 or the 4 lane, right?
He looks much more relaxed than he did. He's not driving so erratically, probably because he's not hitting as much traffic.
Again, we don't know if CHP has been in contact with this suspect. We do know that the suspect is wanted for the theft of construction supplies, but not theft of this vehicle. So as we pointed out, the name of the company that owns that vehicle is painted on the side, and we assume that police are working all the avenues of the investigation, trying to get in contact with the person behind the wheel or the family members of this person to find out what they are thinking and why they are so desperate to get away, get off the freeway again.
Heading right off that ramp there and heading into traffic, so to speak, and of course runs into at least it looks like there's an officer in the intersection there who may have just
on the
stopped
right
the
side,
traffic
but not on the
completely.
left side.
Yeah, and then could be going right back on the freeway, which we've seen it right, and there he goes, right back into the entrance to the freeway, and he's going to go.
So southbound on the 215 freeway again. This is the San Bernardino area. This pursuit has gone through a number of cities and on surface streets and on freeways, going the wrong way on freeways, getting very close to cars, doing a U-turn on the freeway. Just an unbelievable scene unfolding.
So up ahead of him, since we're still in San Bernardino, will be Colton and the 10 freeway. So it will be interesting to see if he opts for the 10 or if he stays on the 215. But again, I'm looking at traffic flow and it is wide open ahead of him right now.
And again, you'll see all of the cruisers back there behind this suspect. You've got the officers that are on the chase right in front, that first vehicle, and then behind them you'll have another set of officers or an officer calling out the traffic, calling out streets, keeping everyone apprised of where this is going. That's not the job of that first officer that's right behind the suspect there. He's just in charge of staying on top of this suspect. And then in subsequent cars there, you'll have a supervisor, you've got the helicopter overhead. Everybody has a job here. You know, it kind of looks as if every officer is random in there. No, every officer has a specific duty when it comes to a chase.
And they're all in communication. This was one of the most dangerous parts of this pursuit that we saw. The right side of your screen, it says earlier, this is just about 45 minutes ago. This is when the driver was going the wrong way on the 215 freeway, and you could see all that traffic, that oncoming traffic, just an incredibly dangerous situation. CHP did a traffic stop to keep the other vehicles away, and you can see the driver was successful in making that U-turn on the freeway to get back in the right direction. So they made the decision to do the traffic brake, and it looks like it worked because the driver did not end up hitting anyone. But boy, just an incredibly dangerous situation. We don't see that a lot.
We were all speechless here. You know, our job is to keep you apprised of what's happening, but I think our mouths were gaping the minute that you see this truck going the wrong way on a major
on the freeway
because,
at top speeds like that.
And of course, at this time, it's what everybody at home is thinking. It's what we're thinking right now. You know, you have a relative, you have a loved one that has no idea what they're coming into, and that's why these chases. Everybody says, "Well, why are we putting chases on TV like this?" It's because they pose such a threat to the public. You know,
right.
Innocent public, where they're just driving home, going to work, coming to lunch, doing whatever, and they run into this. Somebody who's trying to get away from police going the wrong way on a freeway.
And let's face it, when we're on the freeway, it's the last thing we expect. We're on the phone, we're listening to the radio, we're thinking about our day, and you don't expect a truck to be coming up in the opposite direction right at you.
And we actually thought this was going to come to an end a few times, didn't we? When he tried to jump out of the driver's side door there and the car was still moving. and then he got back in and then made that U-turn. We thought maybe he would stop the car then, but he didn't. He's still going.
And picking up speed now. Again, this is the 215 freeway, I believe, through the San Bernardino area. Police in a number of agencies have been handing this off because he's traveled such a wide distance, but in pursuit of this driver, a male driver behind the wheel of this construction truck, wanted for felony theft of some construction supplies, according to Whittier PD.
And it looks like he's getting off the freeway once again. Could be making the same move that we've seen several times, where he gets off and then makes that turn, comes to that intersection, has a left or right, and going right through all of that traffic. Clearly that is a green light for the opposite traffic there.
Right.
And looks like he may just be getting right back on the freeway. Same kind of thing.
And for the people who don't know what's going on, they're thinking, who does this guy think he is?
He's headed back north now.
And it looks like he might be leaning over to the carpool lane again. It seems to be transferring from the carpool back to that number 1 lane.
I mean, it continues on. And, you know, again, CHP, they have time on their hands. The only problem is, you know, you don't want this individual to become more erratic and create more of an issue. We've already seen that he has the ability to cause such chaos with that, that maneuver where he was going the wrong way on the 215 there. So here he continues this trek right now. I think they would rather just keep that distance right now until they have an opportunity to lay that spike strip. And again, we heard from CHP that that would probably be the best choice. Now look, you can see there's not a whole lot in trail at this point.
And this is when fatigue begins to set in. This person's been concentrating. They've been desperate for all this time. Their one goal is to get away, but they've had to avoid other vehicles. So the driver starts to get fatigued. The officers in pursuit, oftentimes we will see them trade off. One car will fall back and another officer will become the lead pursuit vehicle, simply because they've been so focused for so long into bringing this guy into custody. And he's been so focused on just trying to get away.
And since they don't know where he's going or which direction he's going to choose, they haven't yet manipulated the traffic behind him. You can see as they panned in earlier, they zoomed in. Cars still don't know that he's involved in a pursuit, and they're passing him.
Well, in the event, you'd mentioned fatigue, Sandra, and the advantage that officers have is they are changing officers out regularly right now. They're changing out helicopters. They'll have a helicopter over it for a little while, and then they'll bring another one in so that they can refuel and go again. And those officers are constantly changing, so they're fresh every single time, whereas this individual has been behind the wheel and is being pursued and is tense and is amped up and has made many maneuvers that were near-death situations where he could have gotten really injured, terribly injured, and injured the public. So he's amped up right now, but officers are trying to remain as calm and cool as possible. And
realizing that if he doesn't make the right move, he's going to harm himself or be taken into custody and go off to jail this afternoon.
That's right. And we do know that there are reports that he threw a weapon out in the middle of this pursuit at some point. And so there's no idea whether he has some other weapon inside the vehicle still. So there's still that factor.
Stephanie, is this an overpass that he's been on before? Is this a new direction?
I'm not quite sure. He's done so many loop-to-loops here, but he's now we're hearing he's transitioning west on the 210, so the Foothill Freeway. So as he's coming out of San Bernardino, soon he's going to hit Rialto, Fontana, Rancho Cucamonga, and then up ahead of him in a few miles will be then the 15 freeway.
Right, and as you make your way from this area, from the Inland Empire into the San Gabriel Valley, it tends to get, the traffic tends to really pick up as you make your way towards the city.
Towards Pasadena.
Yeah.
Well, if he's going west on the 210 right now, he's not going to hit any traffic. There are no accidents. There's no construction up ahead of him until Pasadena. So he has a long way. Again, looking at the time, it's just a minute before 1 o'clock. We're still in that window where it's just open
People
road.
are at work still. They're back from lunch.
The traffic, this would be a horrific situation if we were in downtown Los Angeles, where it's that spaghetti bowl of all those different freeways, but the West 210, you've got a lot of options there as far as lanes and speed. Well, even on a Friday, too, if this were tomorrow, where you've got folks who are headed out to Vegas or Palm Springs, and of course, these are the corridors that everybody uses to get out there, we'd see a lot more traffic. So, and here goes another big move. Whoa, he just hit the side. He's off the shoulder into the dirt, and it looks like the truck has crashed over onto its side. So we'll see
if the driver is injured, if he tries to get out of the vehicle, and you can see the back wheel still spinning.
He landed on the driver's side.
Doesn't look like there's any movement of him trying to get out of that door just yet.
Have to believe that he probably was not wearing a seatbelt because we saw him getting in and out of the vehicle, and it didn't look like he was undoing his seatbelt when he got out. So again, this is the end of a pursuit, it appears, in San Bernardino. The pursuit's been going on for more than an hour.
Now, the officers are all around right now, but remember that there was the reports of a weapon that he threw out, maybe a weapon inside, and they're going to, you would think they're going to rush in right now, but they're not. They're going to take it very slowly and carefully because they don't want the officers in harm's way right now.
Obviously, they have him stopped without any harm to the public, so that's the good news.